What's going on, everybody? BrickBuilder here, and welcome back to the final episode of Minecraft Let's Build. And today, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showing and kind of giving an overall view on the desert village and like kind of discussing a bit of its key features. So let's dive right into this. So when we first started, we started out with a relatively small build here of the market stalls. Very simplistic style buildings, but they really set the tone for the entire village, because the orange wool was crucial. We had to make orange be a decent part of the town, as well as we had to have them be more merchant rather than like farmers and other methods of earning money, obviously. And then we proceeded to kind of design the road here as well, which looks very nice and definitely flows. We got the creeper right here, which I'm assuming is sort of like what they, I don't know, would have as like their deity, maybe, not 100% sure, but that's still just a cool little extra thing we threw there. We also have a very nice well here, kind of at the center of town. And this well, very simplistic, but we use something here that's pretty important, is whenever you put the water, make sure to put a block underneath it that looks good. So like this here kind of gives the water a nice looking purple glint almost, because the red and the blue together will make purple, which is nice. Then up over here we got an awesome giant watchtower, which looks like amazing. And right here we get some more of that yellow and orange that we're kind of striving for, and like very nice, very inviting style right there. I definitely like it. And then we proceed over here where we have a nice little tower. Nothing on the inside of the tower, but that's not important since the primary focus was on the exterior looks. And this was kind of one of the builds where we started focusing a lot on using the stairs in the build in like a nice orderly fashion. Then over here we got easily the most important build. This is the town hall. This was probably one of the cooler builds in the town, and we learned a lot about things such as how to make the builds look a bit more destroyed. These towers look awesome as well, and they definitely work. We also have a very nice, actually functioning top part here, where if we were playing in survival, sniping mobs would be what we could do from here, which I can actually snipe pretty far from here, so it's definitely a good sniper position. One of the bigger struggles with this was to make sure we couldn't get up here. But then we realized that it doesn't make a difference because we're not going to go up here anyway. But then coming back down, we have a nice little entrance here. And we focus a lot on terracotta and how to make it look good on this floor. The big thing with terracotta blocks is if you want them to look good, make a depth change in the floor. For instance, we went from half slab to this level, half slab to this level, and it definitely paid off in the end. And we have a nice little altar here for the king or pharaoh or queen or whatever we have as the ruler of the town, so they can give their speech or whatnot there. Then over here we got a nice residential house, which definitely we went kind of big on the furnishing on the inside here. Nice little carpet here, you know. We put a lot of furnishing and a lot of flowers here, which wouldn't make a lot of sense in the desert, but we figured maybe this person is like more of a traveler, so they have flowers. Then over on here we got a nice another tower. This one here has orange glass, which sort of that one does not though, but this one and this one both have orange glass, which is good because it keeps that orange theme which we got from the marketplace over here, which I definitely like. And over here we got the very interesting style here where the depth change is not really a depth change too much, but it still looks pretty good. And you gotta love the design of this thing just because of how creative it is. And the roof of it is very interesting because we have this higher plopped up on extra top part here, which I definitely like, and I think it works for sure. And then over on here we got yet another tower. This one's a little bit smaller, but that's alright because we don't want them all to be the same height. We got to keep it interesting. And yeah, the roofs on all these things have a very similar kind of feel, you know, which I definitely like. Then over here we got a very basic armory, but realistically we only needed something very basic since these desert villagers are not really into fighting all that much, so they don't need a massive military or militia. And over here we got the wishing well, just another well we kind of made. And I figured that this one has a little bit more of lore than that one. So that one over there, that's just kind of like the center of town, but this one here is a wishing well where they kind of go to wish and stuff like that for things to happen. So they believe in some form of magic, I guess, or miracles. And over here we got a slightly bigger tower. This one here has no glass or anything. This was kind of like what I was originally initially, like this thing here was supposed to be designed more for kind of scouting out this area over here, making sure that nobody was trying to enter the town, you know, which nobody can do if they're in the way. But overall, I think the town does look very nice. I mean, if you look at it, it is definitely a nice looking town. But now I want to talk about why it's a good looking town and what you guys can do to make your small towns look as good as this one. So to begin, one thing that's super important is keeping the block palette basic but similar in every single build. So we used a lot of sandstone in this, which it definitely works in this style because we were very limited according to lore with what resources we had. But as you can tell, every single build has a nice birch roof or a very prominent birch aspect to it. And that is very important because every build here kind of connects and shares an overall theme. Also, we have two different window types where we use either the stairs or we use the actual glass. Both look great. Layout was super important for this as well, considering we spent like half an episode planning out this whole area over here, which is where most of the residential buildings actually are. And then another thing that really is important is adding these smaller details. Yes, it's important to have buildings that are big like this, and that one, and that one. But if it were just those three buildings, it wouldn't really work. What's super important is the fact that with all these small builds, it really kind of overemphasizes the extremity of the big builds and makes everything look super nice. For example, small builds would be like this little well here, this little creeper, and then the marketplace. And although the marketplace does take up a decent amount of space, it would still be classified as quite a small build. Then keeping cool designs as well, such as the use of the terracotta and the orange throughout, is very important as well because we kept like an overall color. If like we were to change every single color of all the different builds, it'd be very weird. Like if these had red glass, one of these was green, one of them was pink, and the other one was like, I don't know, like zebra stripes or something, I don't know. It wouldn't really work. So it's very important that you keep your block palette similar. Also, whenever we use flowers, we always went with this flower here because it had that little orange top, which we wanted to keep the color going. Now the road in this specific village is very, as I like to call it, kind of mishmash or like wishy-washy because it's not structured, you know. There's some roads where it's like every single block is filled in. But personally, for this style of a village, it doesn't make sense for them to have that. Now, for a place that's way more fortified, it would definitely make sense for them to have a very prominent road system. But for a place such as the desert village, where they're not going to be out in the day, it's not super important for a good road. And also, just the builds generally match. Like, the roofs of these are very similar, and not just block, but also design. But we also have the very unique ones as well. And you can definitely tell which builds are used for what. Like, you can tell that this is either like a town hall or a guard place. And the use of these three little overhang, like extra places here, were definitely used very well and really do add to the village. But one super important thing about your village that you need to note is location. Now, this entire world is full of deserts and rivers. That's basically what I set it up to be. And this here was a very big piece of land, but it also was very flat while still being, like, looking natural, which is important. And another thing to note is that most of this was all planned out before. Like, we didn't just slap down a building here because we felt like it. Planning things out really does benefit you in the long run. In addition to all of that, you know, like, it wouldn't have made sense for us to take this whole village and put it on this little street, like this little strip of land right here. It just doesn't make sense because we wouldn't have enough space, and we'd most likely have to build a bridge right over this water, which definitely isn't, you know, a bad thing if that's what you're going for. But it realistically wouldn't make a lot of sense for them to build a bridge over a body of water when we could just have put all of it over here initially. It would have made a lot more sense that way. So, like, lore is pretty important too. Make sure you pay attention to that if that's what you're into. Obviously, it doesn't matter if you're playing survival. You don't really need your lore unless you want it there, you know. But, like, for instance, I would say lore would be like how we have the market stalls. And although that there's nothing in these chests, they're still there. You know, we got, like, items in the chest, but they're just there for show. That's kind of lore. But further along the lines of, like, the whole creeper being the deity they worship, or, I don't know, maybe, like, the wishing well, and then, like, the foreign invader towers and all that sort of thing. That definitely helps as well. But I think that's going to about wrap up the showcase of the desert village and kind of give you guys a bit of tips. Make sure to share this video around with your friends. Drop a like, and if you're new to the channel, subscribe. But I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!